The rain had not stopped in weeks. It was as if the heavens themselves were trying to drown the small town in endless torrents of water. Alex stood by the window, staring out into the vast, sodden expanse of his backyard. The trees bowed under the weight of the storm. Tonight, the rain felt different. The wind howled louder, and the shadows cast by the trees seemed to stretch toward the house, beckoning him. Beside him, Jessica was asleep, her breathing slow and steady. She had been working long hours at the hospital, and the relentless weather was wearing her down. Alex felt a pang of guilt, realizing how distant he had been lately. His thoughts had been elsewhere, dark memories he wished he could forget. It had been nearly 2 years since his first wife, Emily, had passed away. The memories were still fresh. Her death had left a permanent scar, one that even his new life with Jessica couldn't heal. Every time he thought he had moved on, the past resurfaced, and tonight was no different. He could feel it in the air. A sudden flash of lightning illuminated the backyard. For a brief moment, Alex saw something, or someone, standing at the edge of the trees. His heart skipped a beat. He blinked, trying to focus through the rain, but the figure was gone. "Just the wind," he muttered, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling that had taken root. As he lay back down beside Jessica, the wind outside continued to howl. Sleep refused to come. Alex's thoughts drifted back to a time before Jessica, before everything changed. His marriage to Emily had once been filled with passion, late-night conversations about their future, and dreams of leaving their small town. But life chipped away at their love. The pressures of everyday life, the bills, the stress, had dulled the excitement they once shared. Emily had grown distant, retreating more and more into herself. The last months of their marriage were strained. Emily spent increasing amounts of time alone at the family cabin she had inherited. Alex, wrapped up in his work, had failed to notice how far she was slipping away, until it was too late. It had been an accident, they said. Emily had gone to the cabin for a weekend alone. A faulty gas heater had leaked, and by the time anyone found her, it was too late. But Alex never fully believed it was just an accident. The guilt gnawed at him, especially because of their last argument. They had fought, said horrible things to each other. In his anger, Alex had stormed out, leaving her alone. When he returned the next day, Emily was dead. The guilt had never left him. Even as he started a new life with Jessica, the memories of that night still haunted him. He had never told anyone, not even Jessica, the full truth about Emily's death. He couldn't. A piercing sound jolted Alex from his thoughts. Jessica stirred beside him as the familiar drone of the emergency alert system echoed through their bedroom. "This is a weather emergency. Severe flooding has been reported in your area. Residents are advised to stay indoors and avoid travel." Jessica groaned, rubbing her eyes. This rain is never going to end. Alex picked up his phone to check the time, but instead, his screen flashed with a new message from an unknown number. "Miss me?" For a moment, Alex stared at the screen, his heart pounding. The number, he had deleted it long ago. It couldn't be. It was Emily's number. His mind raced. It had to be a mistake, a glitch in the system, or maybe someone was playing a cruel joke. He forced a laugh, though it came out strained. It's probably just a wrong number. Jessica didn't notice the tension in his voice. "We should check the basement, make sure it's not flooding again," she said, yawning. "I'll handle it," Alex replied quickly, pocketing his phone as he left the room. Descending the stairs to the basement, the weight of the message pressed on him. As he reached the bottom, his phone buzzed again. "I'm waiting." The cold basement air sent a chill down his spine. His hands trembled as he looked at the phone, trying to shake the feeling of dread building inside him. Emily was dead. There was no way these messages were real. The days that followed were filled with strange, unsettling occurrences. The rain continued to fall in an unrelenting deluge, and the atmosphere in the house grew tense. Alex couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It began with small things: a door that creaked open on its own, the unmistakable sound of footsteps in the hall when no one was there. One evening, as Alex sat by the window, he saw it again. The figure. This time, it was closer to the house, standing at the edge of the yard. He squinted, trying to make out any details, but the rain blurred the figure's features. His heart raced, and a knot formed in his stomach. He pressed his face to the window, desperate to see more. Then, in a flash of lightning, the figure vanished. "What's wrong?" Jessica asked, looking up from her book. "Nothing," Alex muttered. "Just thought I saw something." That night, the noises began, scratching sounds, faint but persistent. At first, Alex told himself it was just the wind or maybe the old house settling. But as the nights went on, the sounds grew louder, more deliberate, like fingernails scraping against wood. It felt as though something, or someone, was trying to get inside. Alex's dreams became plagued by memories of Emily. He saw her standing at the foot of his bed, her eyes dark and hollow, her expression filled with sorrow and accusation. She didn't speak, but the weight of her presence was suffocating. Night after night, the same dream haunted him, leaving him drenched in sweat and trembling. One particularly stormy night, as Alex lay in bed, the scratching at the window grew louder. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Hesitating, he reached for it, dread filling his chest. Another message. "I'm here." His breath caught in his throat. He looked toward the window, his heart racing. There, standing in the rain, was the unmistakable figure of Emily, her pale face barely visible through the storm. Lightning flashed, and her image disappeared. Alex felt his guilt swallowing him whole. He could no longer tell what was real and what was his mind playing tricks on him. The weight of his unresolved guilt, the unspoken truths about Emily's death, pressed down on him. The texts, the figure in the rain, was it all in his mind? Or had Emily come back to confront him? The house seemed to pulse with an oppressive energy, as if the very walls held the secrets Alex had been trying to bury for years. That night, the scratching turned into full-blown banging at the window. Alex could no longer ignore it. Steeling himself, he grabbed a flashlight and opened the door, stepping out into the torrential rain. The figure was gone, but he knew where he needed to go: the cabin. With each step, the rain pounded harder against him, soaking him to the bone. The cabin loomed ahead, dark and silent, the very place where Emily had died. His heart pounded in his chest as he pushed open the creaking door. Inside, everything was just as it had been that fateful night. Alex stood frozen, memories crashing over him. The fight. The anger. The guilt. Suddenly, the phone buzzed in his pocket. "I forgive you." Alex fell to his knees, tears mixing with the rain on his face. He had spent years punishing himself, unable to move on. Now, whether the message was real or just his mind seeking closure, he felt the weight lift from his chest. The haunting had ended. Emily had let go. Now, it was time for Alex to do the same. As Alex walked away from the cabin, the storm began to ease. The rain lightened, and for the first time in weeks, he felt the warmth of the sun breaking through the clouds. He returned home to Jessica, ready to face the future, free from the ghosts of his past.